hashtag sex strike, which Alyssa Milano has been using in regards to her position on the abortion question. She suggests that women that are being oppressed by men and others that don't want to give them the choice, and of course I understand her argument being pro-choice myself, she says we will stop having sex with these men. Of course, those men being largely the men that they were considering qualified to have sex with in the first place, which were largely, you know, leftists. They certainly weren't sleeping with any Trump supporters, unless they had this strange sort of self-hating feel about themselves, because, of course, Trump being the cancer to the left, notably to Alyssa. So I say here, way back then I say, Democrat women should definitely go on sex strike. Their men don't deserve sex. Why? Simple. A lot of the ones left standing are self-avowed feminists, and you know how that tends to go. So, in part, it is very interesting how the evangelicals and the Christians have kind of played a form of, well, you could say, 3D chess. The pro-lifers have gotten, in a sense, the pro-choicers to not have sex, which is something that will lower, of course, the need for abortion. See, traditional people, of course, as you probably well know, tend to fall on more of the sex before marriage and, you know, not doing things irresponsibly so that they may bring a child into this world when it's not going to be taken care of by two parents. They're trying to avoid teenage pregnancy, and they're trying to make sure that, you know, abortion never even has to come into the argument because, hey, you didn't have sex when you didn't want a child. Now, I know that, in my opinion, is not very practical. Okay, I believe in pro-choice, and if you'd like to find my exact position on abortion, you can find it on Twitter. Just do a search for @RealJeffTidwell and my position on abortion. But the TLDR is that I am pro-choice, and I do understand that that isn't the most moral position you could have. Yes, there is a morality to making sure that every child is cared for, and those that can't be cared for one reason or another are not even brought into this world in the first place. But when you're looking at it from a scientific perspective, no matter what, if you play it safe, there is no way that you're not committing a murder. So I do understand that my position is morally questionable, and I accept that. So if you go onto Tinder and you find a guy that tells you he's a feminist, well, I would say your mileage may vary. And of course, a lot of people in the Democrat Party, the voting base, are of an anti-male sentiment, men, women, and trans people, as it is part of the rhetoric in the Democrat Party in terms of identity politics. Male is a group that is considered to be, under the social justice modern religion, to be the oppressor of women. And of course that follows into feminism in general, okay, notably third and fourth wave, which is also known as intersectional feminism, which can also be part and parcel with the social justice. And of course the identity politics, gender politics, sexual politics. So yes, I would, in general, I see the good intentions of men that say, well, I'm a feminist. But feminism is an ideology that, again, is based in this sort of cultural Marxist mentality of a dynamic of the oppressor and the oppressed, and trying to bring balance by taking things away and hurting and harming the oppressor and giving to the oppressed. And sometimes it makes sense, which is reasonable, and sometimes it doesn't, which is the faith-based element of the modern religion. So, I would be careful around a number of men that call themselves feminists. Again, feminism, I think, is often misconstrued. Like I'll say, for example, I'm not quite a feminist. Now, the reality is that I am, at the very least, a first waver, and probably a little bit of the second wave, and there's elements of the third and fourth wave that I do believe in. I'm agnostic on the modern religion that is social justice, but I do see some of the virtue contained within. So, but people will say, well, you're not a feminist, so you're not for female empowerment in terms of, equality and equity with males. And that's simply not my position. I believe that all people are equal, all genders are equal. And I mean all genders, depending on your idea of what gender is. And so I don't think that we should discriminate based on immutable characteristics, or in general, I don't think we should be discriminating based on any characteristic that a person holds near and dear to their heart. It doesn't have to be a physical feature. It can be an occupation or a religion as well. I think the more that we get rid of this identitarian feeling and bridge the divide between people that have been separated into groups and look at them all as individuals with their own character and their own flaws, their own merits, their own pros and their own cons as individuals, and we look at them by their actions and their words as opposed to the way they were born, or the gender they identify as, or the religion they subscribe to or believe in, the gods they worship, or the occupation that they hold, the class that they're in. These things, I tend to say, aren't as important as looking at the person themselves and seeing what they bring to the table, and looking at that when you're trying to decide if you must judge a person, judge them for who they are and not by what they were born as. I think that will lead to a more peaceful existence for us all of us in people kind.